Crack. The supersonic snap of a 7.62mm round, passing mere inches from your ear, violently ruptures the stagnant air, followed instantly by the deafening metallic clang of the bullet embedding itself into the steel frame of the Humvee door right next to your temple. Concrete dust explodes into your eyes, blinding you. Thwack, thwack, thwack. The mud wall beside your shoulder disintegrates into a spray of jagged shrapnel and pulverized dirt as a heavy machine gun opens up from a concealed, elevated position. You dive face first into the filthy, sun-baked trench, your lungs violently pulling in air, thick with the acrid, sulphurous stench of cordite and raw sewage. The radio strapped to your chest rig erupts in a chaotic burst of static and frantic screaming. Kssst! Contact right, we are taking effective fire. You spit a mouthful of gritty sand and blood, gripping the blistering hot handguard of your rifle. You are completely pinned down in the kill zone. LV-1, the point of departure. 14 hours earlier, the world was a monotonous, suffocating purgatory of beige canvas and diesel exhaust. You sit heavily on the edge of your canvas cot inside the reinforced perimeter of Forward Operating Base, FOB Viper. The ambient temperature inside the tent is a stagnant 114 degrees Fahrenheit. The heavy industrial hum of the massive diesel generators vibrates constantly through the plywood floorboards, a mechanical heartbeat that you have learned to sleep through, eat through, and breathe through over the last 7 months of your deployment. You are an infantry fire team leader, 11 Bravo. You begin the meticulous, almost religious ritual of preparing your gear. There is no room for error. Out here, complacency is a death sentence. You pull the charging handle of your M4A1 carbine to the rear. Click, clack. The bolt locks back. You inspect the star chamber, ensuring it is completely free of the microscopic, powder-fine desert sand that finds its way into every crevice of your existence. You let the bolt slide forward with a satisfying metallic snick. You check your optics. You power on the AN PQ-15 infrared laser box mounted to the top rail, verifying the battery casing is secured. You look through the ACOG sight, the red chevron glowing sharply against the blinding glare of the desert sun bleeding through the tent flap. You grab a steel Stanag magazine, tapping the back of it firmly against the side of your Kevlar helmet to properly seat the 5.56mm rounds against the back wall of the casing. Tap, tap. You slide it into the mag well. Click. You tug down firmly to ensure it is seated. You begin layering your armor. First, the sweat-soaked flame-resistant combat shirt. Next, the heavy plate carrier. The level 4 ceramic ballistic plates front and back instantly add 35 pounds to your frame, biting sharply into your collarbones. You weave the cables of your headset through the mole webbing, plugging the connector into the MBITAR radio secured to your cummerbund. Comms check, you mutter, pressing the heavy rubber push-to-talk button on your chest. Gazizit. Loud and clear, 2 actual. The squad leader's voice crackles back instantly in your earpiece. You step out of the tent and into the blinding, white-hot furnace of the Afghan afternoon. The air smells heavily of burning trash, aviation fuel, and baked dust. A line of heavily up-armored MRAP, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, sits idling by the wire, their massive V-shaped hulls designed to deflect the catastrophic blast waves of buried explosives. You climb the steep metal stairs in the rear of the lead vehicle, the heavy armor door slamming shut behind you with a sealed claustrophobic thud. The air conditioning inside the troop compartment is barely fighting the heat of the engine. You strap yourself into the 5-point harness, staring at the armored glass of the small porthole window. The heavy steel gates of the FOB slowly grind open. You are leaving the wire. LV-2, the route clearance. By 1400 hours, the convoy is creeping along Route Tampa at a painstakingly slow 15 miles per hour. The environment has shifted from the open desert to a densely packed urban sprawl, a labyrinth of high mud-brick walls, narrow alleyways, and flat-roofed compounds. Every single window is a potential sniper hide. Every pile of garbage on the side of the dirt road is a potential IED, improvised explosive device. The tension inside the MRAP is a physical weight pressing down on your chest. The silence among the squad is deafening, broken only by the guttural roar of the diesel engine and the constant paranoid chatter on the tactical net. You are seated behind the gunner, staring at the live feed from the thermal optics mounted on the roof. Keep your spacing, elements, the platoon leader's voice echoes in your headset. Intel suggests elevated insurgent activity in this sector. Stay sharp. You look out the thick, ballistic glass. Something is wrong. The atmospheric pressure of the street has changed. 20 minutes ago, the local markets were bustling with merchants pushing wooden carts and children running alongside the vehicles begging for water bottles. Now, the streets are completely, unnervingly abandoned. Doors are barred. Windows are shuttered. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The absence of normal life in a war zone is the loudest siren possible. It is the tactical indicator of an impending ambush. Hey LT, you key your mic, your throat dry, the words scraping out. Pattern of life has flatlined. We have ghost town conditions on the left and right flanks. Copy that, the lieutenant replies, his voice tight. Gunners, scan your sectors. Do not crack, hiss. A trail of thick white smoke streaks down from a rooftop 300 meters to your 2 o'clock position. It moves with terrifying, impossible speed, a serpentine line of death slicing through the heavy air. RPG, brace, brace, brace! The gunner screams, dropping down from the turret. You clench your jaw, tucking your chin to your chest, violently gripping the straps of your harness. Time slows down to individual, agonizing milliseconds. You hear the whistling rush of the propelled grenade cutting the air right before it connects. Vibor 3, the kill zone KA boom. The world ends in a catastrophic eruption of fire, deafening sound, and violent kinetic energy. The RPG-7 warhead detonates against the sloped frontal armor of the MRAP just ahead of yours. The shockwave hits your vehicle like a freight train, lifting the massive 30-ton machine completely off its right tires for a terrifying second before it slams back down into the dirt, rattling your teeth and violently whipping your neck. Thick, choking black smoke instantly swallows the convoy. The air is instantly saturated with the smell of burning diesel, vaporized rubber, and scorched metal. Dismount, dismount, push out and establish a base of fire. The squad leader roars over the chaos. You slam your fist into the heavy hydraulic release lever of the rear door. It drops open, revealing a nightmare. The street is completely engulfed in a hailstorm of incoming fire. Green tracer rounds slice through the black smoke like deadly laser beams. Zizip, zizip, thwack. Bullets chew into the dirt and the armored hull of your vehicle. You throw yourself out of the troop compartment, your boots hitting the uneven dirt. You sprint in a low crouch, the weight of your gear fighting every movement, and throw yourself behind a crumbling concrete barrier. You bring your M4A1 up to your shoulder, the muscle memory taking over before your conscious brain can process the terror. You press your cheek tight against the synthetic stock, looking through the ASOG. The magnification shows muzzle flashes erupting from the dark, recessed windows of a 2-story compound across the street. You place the glowing red chevron center mass on a shadowed figure holding an AK-47. You exhale, pausing your breath at the bottom of the respiratory cycle. You squeeze the trigger. Bam, bam. A controlled double tap. The recoil punches your shoulder sharply. The brass casings eject from the right side of the rifle, spinning through the air and hitting the dirt with a distinct, musical tink-tink. Through the optic, you see the figure fold completely backward, disappearing into the shadows. But it doesn't stop. The volume of fire coming at your position is overwhelming. The air is literally vibrating with the concussive force of a PKM heavy machine gun that has opened up from a fortified balcony. Concrete chips fly into your face as rounds walk in a tight line across your cover, inching closer to your exposed head. The deafening, rhythmic chug, chug, chug of the PKM dominates the auditory space. You are pinned down, unable to even lift your head to return fire. Vida 4. The tourniquet. Saw is down. Miller is hit. Miller is hit. The frantic scream tears through your headset, cutting over the deafening roar of the firefight. You violently twist your body, keeping your head low to the dirt. 10 yards to your left, in the shallow defilade of a drainage ditch, Miller is writhing on his back. His M249 squad automatic weapon lies useless in the sand. You don't think. You break from your cover, sprinting the 10 yards through the open kill zone. The air around you snaps and hisses with supersonic lead. You dive slide into the ditch next to him, the sharp rocks tearing through the fabric of your uniform and scraping your knees raw. Miller's face is completely devoid of color, an unnatural waxy gray. His hands are frantically clawing at his right thigh. The femoral artery has been severed by a 7.62 millimeter round. Bright, highly oxygenated arterial blood is not just leaking. It is rhythmically pulsing, geysering out of the wound in time with his frantic heartbeat, instantly turning the dry Afghan dirt into thick, dark, crimson mud. "I got you! I got you!" you yell, your voice cracking. Your hands are coated in his blood. It is shockingly hot, slick, and sticky. You reach violently to your chest rig, ripping the Velcro tab of your trauma kit. You pull out the combat application tourniquet, CAT. Your fingers are shaking with a terrifying lack of fine motor control, fueled by massive adrenaline dumps. You slide the thick black nylon strap up his leg, pushing it high and tight, practically into his groin crease, well above the catastrophic wound. You rip the Velcro tight, adhering the strap back onto itself. You grab the plastic windlass rod. "This is going to burn," you scream over the gunfire. You violently twist the plastic rod. One half turn, one full turn. Miller arches his back, letting out a raw, animalistic scream of pure agony as the nylon bites deep into his muscle tissue, physically crushing the artery against the femur bone. 2 full turns. You lock the rod into the plastic C-clip, pulling the white timestamp strap over it. You look down. The geyser has stopped. The mud beneath you is saturated, but the catastrophic bleeding is controlled. You key your radio, your breathing ragged, your chest heaving violently. "Break, break, break. This is 2 Bravo. We have a routine 9-line medevac. Line 1, grid coordinates. Kst. Negative 2 Bravo. The Tactical Operations Center cuts in, the voice chillingly calm. The LZ is too hot. Air assets cannot push into your sector due to heavy anti-aircraft fire. You are denied medevac. You need to secure the perimeter and hold. QRF is 30 minutes out. 30 minutes. In a firefight, 30 minutes is an eternity. You look down at Miller. His eyes are rolling back. He is entering severe hypovolemic shock. If you stay in this ditch, he dies. If you stay in this ditch, you all die. LV5, the fatal funnel. To survive, you have to seize the initiative. The heavy PKM machine gun is tearing your squad to pieces from the 2nd floor of the compound, directly across the street. You have to eliminate it. "We're moving!" you roar to the 2 remaining men in your fire team. "We are pushing that building! Cover fire!" You step out of the ditch, bringing your rifle up. You dump an entire 30-round magazine into the balcony, walking the fire across the mud brick wall to keep the gunner's head down. The bolt locks back empty. You hit the magazine release, the empty metal box dropping to the dirt, and slam a fresh one home in a fluid, practiced motion, hitting the bolt release with the heel of your hand. You sprint across the open street, the heavy boots pounding the asphalt. You slam your back violently against the outer wall of the target compound, right next to the heavy wooden door. Your lungs are burning, gasping for oxygen in the stifling heat. The other 2 soldiers stack up tightly behind you, their weapons trained outward. You reach into a pouch, pulling out a flashbang grenade. You pull the metal pin, keeping the spoon tightly depressed in your palm. You look at the soldier behind you and nod. He kicks the heavy wooden door right at the lock. Crack. It splinters inward. This is the fatal funnel, the doorway, the most dangerous place in close-quarters combat. You are silhouetted, completely exposed to anyone waiting inside. You toss the heavy steel cylinder into the dark room. Bang! The deafening, concussive blast creates a blinding white flash that disorients the inner ear and overwhelms the optic nerves. Before the smoke even begins to clear, you pivot the corner and drive through the doorway, your weapon high, sweeping the corners of the dark, dusty room. Clear right, clear left. The room is empty, save for a staircase leading up. The air inside is thick with dust and the smell of ancient dirt. You move methodically toward the stairs. Every step is calculated. You slice the pie, slowly inching around the corner of the stairwell to maximize your angle of vision while exposing the absolute minimum of your own body armor. You reach the 2nd floor landing. The rhythmic, deafening hammering of the PKM machine gun is coming from the room right in front of you. The door is already blown off its hinges. You step into the doorway. A lone insurgent is hunched over the heavy weapon, surrounded by hundreds of spent brass casings, the barrel of the gun literally glowing dull red from the heat of sustained fire. He hears your boots on the concrete. He violently spins around, reaching for a sidearm strapped to his chest. Everything happens in a fraction of a microsecond. You don't aim. You point-shoot, based on thousands of hours of muscle memory. The red chevron of your ACOG finds his center mass. Bam, bam, bam. 3 rounds strike the target. He crumples instantly, the heavy PKM going silent. The sudden absence of the deafening machine gun fire creates a ringing, hollow vacuum in your ears. You lower your rifle slightly, your chest heaving, sweat pouring down your face and stinging your eyes. You have taken the high ground. Lever final. The broken arrow. But the victory lasts only seconds. You step over the body to look out the balcony window. Your stomach drops into a bottomless, cold abyss. The entire neighborhood is swarming. The initial ambush was just a fixing maneuver. Now dozens of armed fighters are flooding the alleyways, moving with coordinated, aggressive tactics, completely encircling the compound. They know you are trapped in this building. Thwump! A grenade bounces off the doorframe of the room downstairs, detonating with a violent crunch that shakes the entire foundation of the house. Concrete dust rains down from the ceiling. They are breaching the bottom floor. You are cut off. You check your magazines. You have 2 left, 60 rounds. The 2 men with you have even less. You are Winchester on ammo, surrounded, with no extraction possible. The sound of heavy boots and screaming voices echoes up the narrow stairwell. They are coming up. You press your back against the wall next to the doorway, your rifle trained on the top of the stairs. Your hands are slippery with sweat and drying blood. Your heart is hammering against your ribcage with such violent force you fear it might burst. The primal, suffocating grip of absolute terror tries to paralyze your mind, but training forces it back. You reach down to your radio. There is only one option left, the most extreme, desperate measure in the military doctrine. "Toc, toc, this is 2 Bravo." You speak rapidly into the mic, your voice devoid of panic, replaced by a cold, fatalistic calm. Position is completely overrun. We are black on ammo. I am declaring broken arrow. A heavy, stunned silence on the radio. Broken arrow means a unit is facing imminent destruction and requires every available combat aircraft in the theater to converge on their position. Kzut. 2 Bravo. Authenticate. I authenticate Juliet Tango Niner. We are isolated on the 2nd floor of the target building. I am calling in a danger close fire mission on my own grid coordinates. Fire for effect. 2 Bravo. Solid copy. We have a B-1 Lancer on station. Time on target is 30 seconds. Get your heads down. You look at the 2 men with you. They understand. There is no escaping the blast radius. You all drop to the floor, curling into the tightest fetal position possible, pressing your hands desperately over your ears, opening your mouths to prevent the pressure wave from rupturing your eardrums. The shouting on the stairs gets louder. The first insurgent steps onto the landing, raising his weapon. And then the sky itself tears open. A high-pitched mechanical screech, like the fabric of reality being violently ripped apart, descends from the stratosphere as a 2,000-pound JDAM, Joint Direct Attack munition, drops toward the roof, directly above your head. The screech grows louder, vibrating through the concrete, through your teeth, into the very marrow of your bones, until it is the only sound in the universe.